What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about Silent Hill 2 because they just finished a big presentation of 15 full minutes of new gameplay for it, including combat, puzzles, random exploration, and then they showed a new trailer for the next Silent Hill movie, which also looks half decent, but this entire presentation, which was called the Silent Hill Transmission, people are being pretty negative on it. People are saying that, honestly, Silent Hill 2 looks like trash. But I want to break down this entire bit of gameplay and the movie and kind of just give my thoughts as a mega Silent Hill fan. I am a person that has played all the games, even the absolute dog trash ones. I have played every Silent Hill, and I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of even the very bad ones. So, going into the Silent Hill 2 remake, I am cautiously optimistic. But before that, hi, I hope you're having a great day. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. So this was called the Silent Hill Transmission, and it was essentially Konami's way of kind of revealing how the project is coming along. Now, we know for a fact this is coming on October 8th. It is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It's also coming to Steam. And honestly, as soon as this began, I can't help but gawk at how incredible these graphics are. Like, you know, Silent Hill is not a game that's super based on being visually impressive. It's the first original psychological horror, the first game that ever gave me nightmares. But just looking at how much they've managed to recreate the original Silent Hill, all the way down to rot on the boards, this looks actually fantastic. Now, let's pause for a second and just kind of acknowledge the fact that the biggest issue with this game is not necessarily the combat, it's essentially the weird faces. A lot of people are pointing out the fact that the Angela character seems to have been stung by a lot of bees. Her face in general just does not quite look correct. A lot of people are like, hey, even if these are extremely well performed, the gameplay looks like absolute crap. Man, she looks really weird compared to the original. So, honestly, I don't think this looks terrible when it comes to the combat. Let's actually go to this bit. So, here he is. He's exploring the hospital. This is a very spooky moment. Now, this is one of the changes you'll notice, is that the map is more of a kinetic part of it. It feels more like an active thing instead of pausing the game. Look at how incredible this lighting is. So this visual is slightly choppy. This is just the way the stream looked, I promise you. But the character models, the graphics. Okay, let's actually see some combat. Let's fast forward a bit here. So it seems like there is ranged combat and there's melee combat. But it's now one fluid thing, meaning that you're equipping a gun and a pipe at the same time. So it's definitely like what Resident Evil does, especially Resident Evil 4, where you have a knife and you have a gun and you just press the knife button or the gun button. Now, this is interesting because, honestly, one of the things I've always liked about Silent Hill is that save one bullet horror. There's constantly, oh, look at that. Like, the fact that it just pops up on screen with little subtle things, the fact that you're not having to constantly pause, you keep so engaged in the stuff that's on screen. They're clearly trying to make this as HUD-free as possible, like conveying your health or your damage or how much you need to heal just with the environmental details of how much you're limping, how much you're torn up. Man, like, okay, let's admit it, the combat does look a little funky. I do think the graphics are just so... I'm sorry I keep gawking over the graphics, but visually, this is just so cool looking. Let me fast forward a bit here to show a little bit more of the fighting. Oh, God, let's see some bad faces here. Oh, man. Like, it's extra weird because they did a whole bit of the stream where they're actually talking to the actors, and they're like, yeah, we did our best to make sure that this is, like, as perfectly faithful to the original. And I respect these people for what they're trying to do, but man, do the faces look bad. Like, during that early PlayStation 3, that early Xbox 360 generation, there was definitely that time when they were kind of trying to figure out how to facial scan people and stuff. There was like that rough era when they were figuring out photorealism. This kind of reminds me of that, where you're kind of like, okay, it doesn't look terrible, but it does have that weird vibe that something is off. Man, This combat, people are hating on the combat a lot. I'll be honest, I kind of dig it. Okay, so that's Silent Hill 2. It's coming out October 8th. Unless you're trying to actually get the stupid Super Ultimate Edition. Now, I've harped against this in the past. A lot of people actually are not happy about this. A lot of people are actually insulting this. So if you pay $70, you get the game. If you pay $80, you get the digital deluxe edition. If you play this, the super deluxe edition, you can get 48-hour early access. I don't like stuff like this because a lot of times it just feels like a dumb upcharge. It feels like an extra way to try and nickel and dime you. Like these silly bonuses of getting a pyramid head mask or a digital soundtrack. Like charging people for early access to me is kind of scummy. Now, let me actually fast forward where they start talking about these pre-order bonuses because this is so silly to me. Look at this. Oh, they're like, you get this nice pyramid head pizza box. What are we doing here? Like, I'm not saying that because it's a spooky game, every aspect of it has to be spooky. You know, the Resident Evil fans definitely love to revel in the goofiness of that, but this feels so weird. Like, do you really expect that people are going to play through the game with the pizza box on? Is this like a cosmetic that I'll actually be wearing in the game? It is cool, though, that I will give them credit. They did bring back the original artists. They did bring back the original composers. A lot of the people that made Silent Hill 2 what it is are invested in this. So at least it's faithful to the vision, even if the execution is a bit off. Now, the other thing they showed a bunch of is this new Silent Hill 2 movie called Return to Silent Hill. Now, you'll probably notice, man, that sure does look incredibly similar to the stuff we just looked at. Yeah, that's because this is also about Silent Hill 2. So they're making a Silent Hill 2 movie and a Silent Hill 2 remake. Now, the director of this is the guy who directed the first Silent Hill movie, which is actually good. So I'm extremely excited for this. They did a lot of interviews talking to the guy, and he was very clear about the fact that they're trying to essentially make the game we already loved, just make it into a movie as faithfully as possible. And he basically did talk about the fact that it's like adapting a novel. You're trying to do it as respectfully and carefully as possible so you preserve that intent even while sort of customizing it to a different medium. I bet this is going to be freaking awesome. And then the last thing they talked about is Silent Hill merch. Like, hey, you can buy a jacket or pins. Stuff like this is just weird to me. Like, if this was affordable, look, I'll be honest. I'm broke, okay? I'll just say it. I'm a broke bitch, all right? I can barely afford to eat sometimes. I'm not buying a jacket that this is probably going to cost $150. It's going to be something insane. If this stuff was actually affordable, if this was a jacket that was like $50 or something, I mean, that's cooler, but you know this thing's going to be double the price of the game at a minimum. I even think this was neat. Like, I like Silent Hill 2 enough that I would buy this, but I mean, this is not the stuff that a normal fan can even afford at this point. So that's just some off-the-cuff thoughts about the Silent Hill 2 transmission. How do you guys feel about it? Is this actually good, or are you more concerned about the funky faces? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Also, I did a video talking about the state of play that just happened as well, and that's part of why I'm hoarse. I streamed the state of play, so I basically have been talking for like 2 hours straight, so I'm going to go drink some water. Love you. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.